Mr. Evers, right?
Good to see you again, Dermot. How you doing today?
I thought we'd met before. How you doing, Grant? Thank you so much. I'm doing great.
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, we spoke for Gone in the Dark and Ruthless. So here we are again. We got a nice little.
Ruthless, Crushed, and Gone in the Dark is emerging. People are catching up to that movie with Winona in it. So yeah, plug Gone in the Dark, because it's a super bizarre and wonderful movie. Yeah. Speaking of which.
Speaking of which, yeah, I really can't wait for people to start seeing Depravity and seeing just how wild this movie is too. And I'd love to hear, what was it about Paul's script and your character that drew you in to want to be a part of it?
Really, Paul was so straight up and clear about how this character went, right down to the look, the haircut, the clothes, the dog, that I knew, sometimes I got to be honest with you, Grant, it's like I think if somebody else, if I pass on this, yeah, this is like a once in a lifetime chance to play a part like that. I don't want some other actor to play it. Can I be honest? You know what I mean? Like, so I get wind of something like this, and I had a great meeting with him and the producers, and it just made perfect sense because I knew that I was just there to be, I don't mean just, but I really was just there to be what they had sculpted out for this part. It's so cinematic a movie, and classic in the way it's edited, and like 70s movies, or you call up a bunch of those real taut, drawn out thrillers. So this is one of those, very satisfying. And so I was just a part of this quilt puzzle that Paul was making. It's such a great assignment as an actor. It's also an interesting assignment to have no lines. So it had to be an effective image. And I knew I was being framed and lit, and the colors in that hall, and obviously then within Mr. Evers' own apartment, you really run into a serious vibe, right?
Yeah, that's such a wild vibe that's in his apartment. And so you talk about the look, and I'd love to hear what your first reaction was when you saw in the mirror, how you actually looked done up.
Well, I think I got the shave there. Yeah, the head shave. So, I watched it happen. I'd been cut close a couple of times like that. Maybe really short in Inhale and in Big Miracle, but not probably right down to my head like that. So yeah, that was half of the draw, not half, but a big part of the draw for to do this movie, because I can put a whole nother look out there in the world and add to my, I won't say 1,000 faces, but a couple hundred. Trying to do something different. It's always been my assignment, if possible, to create a real, substantially unique and accurate to the character look. So if you flip through, I've done okay. There's a lot of them you can't really, but then you go back and you look at the Family Stone and you realize, oh, that's his whole look with those overcoats and the what do you call it, a turtleneck, and the part in his hair. So it's half of the assignment. In this, it was like 90% of the assignment. I only say one word.
Yes, you do.
So that's its own challenge, even though it's obviously it's easy. You don't have to remember lines, but we like remembering lines, to keep that in mind.
So I'd love to hear what it's like then coming up with the physicality of this character, since, like you say, so much of who he is just in how he carries himself.
Well, I could tell. I could feel it. When I was cut, and then when I'm wardrobing, there too, the designer and Paul really wanted it that way. So then it's really like a culminating experience. You put those together, and then I'm arriving on the set in wardrobe. They hand me this dog, and then I know enough from how a hallway is lit and how they're framing it, and just the color absorption in this movie, that they were really onto something. And then it's about becoming a part of the whole piece instead of having, well, it had to be because I did, again, once again, different tools. I couldn't use words. So it was a great challenge, even though it was easier, is exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Brand new role. I don't think I've ever had a part that wasn't talking all the time. I've had a lot of lines, man. I've had a lot of lines.
Well, it's a great little flip for you, and I love that you were up for the challenge. And so I'd also love to hear then, since you mentioned the dog, what it was like working with that dog, because obviously dog actors are very different from how dogs are in real life. But what was it like working with this one?
And you can see that dog actors are different from dogs in real life in almost every movie, because there's a trainer off camera holding a treat, and the dog's looking off or making a fakey bark or whatever. Right? I guess the one that really impresses me when you can train a dog to lift his leg and pretend he's taking a piss. So whenever you see that in a movie, I like that. But a lot of times it doesn't quite work. Eye lines off. You can tell the dog's not thinking what it says in the script. But in Depravity, this was a trained dog. I mean, he did what the owner said and what I working with him, but he wasn't a trained dog. So none of the little events, walking down the hall, getting in an elevator with 3 other people, obviously looking down into the garbage chute or the laundry chute. Mm-hmm. He'd never done it before. So that's why he seems so real. So me and the owner just got him to do it, and he did it, right? So it wasn't like overly trained, like it sounds like you've spotted before. So that plays great in Depravity too. The dog is excellent, huge, like Rottweiler, dark chocolate brown Rottweiler, and great. Not my friend. I didn't go in to be his friend. I was like stern with him, and we got it all done. But I miss him. I liked him a lot. I just didn't want to be too light with him.
I love that though, and I mean, like you say, it really adds so well to making.
And it adds so much to the character, so that had to work. So it just fell into place. And then so many of the elements, the wardrobe, even the haircut, the mood and the lighting, the animal, it gave it, that's the character, because I didn't have the other tool of the gab. Yeah.
Well, you really pulled all those elements together well. I see I've got enough time for one more question, so I want to ask you really quickly as well. I love that you're now in the One Chicago universe. Pascal's a great addition so far. We've gotten a little bit of mystery as far as what his background is with Miami, and I'd love to hear, what you're able to share about that, or when we might start learning about what that backstory is.
Thank you. We've seen 3 episodes, and they're brilliant. The writers, all they had to do was drop one in the first episode, like what happened in Miami, and it's driving everyone crazy because you see this story every week. You see this story every week for 12 years. I've never done this, Grant, so I'm doing it for the first time. And people are nuts about trying to figure out what happened with Pascal. So let me tell you this, we've shot 7, we're on our 8th episode, so I know a little bit more, but I do not know the whole of it. Even myself, the actor, even though in the life of the actor, obviously of the character, I've already lived through what happened in Miami, but that's how they do it. So I'm learning too, but I can tell you this, these storylines go great. It's not linear. They're really introducing Pascal in a great way. He has his moral challenges, and then obviously he's a firefighter, so he keeps going in. So it's a great role to get, and I'm thrilled to be here and on like regular network television. So I love that too.
Well, I can't wait to see what comes of those mysteries and to get the word out about Depravity. Like we were saying earlier, I think people are going to love this, especially if they watched Gone in the Night and Ruthless. And so thank you, Dermot, for taking the time to chat with me again. It's always good seeing you.
Always a pleasure. Let's talk soon.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. Have a good one.
Thanks. Talk to you later.